pulled up too to see the chat.
Yeah, we're going live.
Oh,
hey guys,
fantastic.
Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, and today I'm hanging out with Michael Ross from the RPG Academy, half of the dynamic duo over there. Going live. Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, and today I'm hanging out with.
Is that on your side or my side?
It's on my side.
Okay, okay. I was like looking around, like, oh my god, what am I doing?
What happened? What happened?
Yeah.
No worries. We make all kinds of mistakes over here. Matter of fact, me and you were talking in the chat earlier about how you accidentally like tweeted out the wrong link before. And I I just did that like a couple weeks ago. One of our regulars popped into the actual live chat.
Yep.
And like, how did you get here? And then I instantly knew what I did. But I had been in the process of sharing out and then also sharing to that day's guest or whatever. And I'm like, I totally crossed those somewheres. And now I have to track it down.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I did. I sent out what was supposed to be the watch link, and then people started joining into the call. And I'm like, oh no, this is wrong.
What do we do?
What do we do?
That is the joy and that is the fun of doing things live.
Yes. Unpredictability.
Absolutely. So you got, you're doing the RPG Academy. How long have you guys been doing that?
It's going on 6 years. I think we're right about that 6-year time frame right now. Because
I know we actually stumbled upon you guys early on by accident because we were
most people do.
Well, in a completely unrelated way, we were actually considering putting together a product. And we wanted to call it that. So we're like, hey, is this name out there? And we're like, yeah, this name is out there. These guys have it.
So we actually, when we first launched, we were, well, again, I tell long stories to get used to it. When we first launched, we were called Dice Monkeys, not realizing that there was already a blog out there called Dice Monkey.
Yeah.
So we did like maybe 2 shows, and then someone contacted us, is like, hey, do you guys know that you basically have taken this other name? And we're like, no. So we ended up talking to the gentleman. I think his name's Mark. And we worked it out. It was our fault. So we changed it. So then we changed our name to D&D Academy. And we were D&D Academy for probably a year, maybe even a year and a half. And we started to get a bit of an audience. We're not the biggest RPG podcast in the world, but we started getting an audience, and we started like going, are we going to get in trouble? Like, or if we get big enough to get attention, is that going to be a problem? So we rebranded. So RPG Academy is actually our 3rd name, and we are the RPG Academy because someone already owns RPG Academy, and I'm not going to pay $3,000 for that URL. So I just added the to it. It's $10 a year.
Well, that's how we came by Nerdarchy, to be honest with you. We tried every iteration of Geek and Nerd, through the domains, and like eventually we settled on Nerdarchy because it was available and we actually like the sound of it. But it's been good for branding and we enjoy it. And then we found out it's a thing on the Urban Dictionary, so it's kind of
cool. Really? Okay.
So I have you on here, one, just to talk about the things that you're into, but more specifically AcadeCon, right? How do you say it?
Again, it's a terrible name. It's AcadeCon because it's Academy and Convention. Yeah. So AcadeCon. I'm from Kentucky. That's what it's going to sound like.
So AcadeCon is coming up. I believe it is the week before PAX Unplugged.
Correct. We are smushed between Metatopia and now PAX Unplugged. So it's also a terrible name. It's a terrible weekend. It's just a bad idea all around. I don't know why we keep doing it.
No, it's great if you want to do the November contour.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
One to another. So you guys, is this the 3rd or 4th year?
Well, it's technically our 5th year.
Okay.
3rd year is a public event. The first 2 years were just like in my basement with, invited friends. And we just kind of got a wild hair and it's like, hey, let's try to make this a thing. So this is the 3rd year that people that just have no idea who we are can show up and buy a ticket and hang out with us.
Oh, cool. So, all right. So I did get the number 3 from somewheres.
Yeah. 3rd year public, 5th year overall.
And I actually heard about it and you guys from Jen from Pixelscapes as well.
Yeah, Jen, she's so awesome.
Yeah, she's great. I love all the goofy, crazy monsters she makes. She plays in my Tuesday night D&D game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so she's a great people. Actually, I went down to Maryland for a family thing, a little mini getaway for the weekend. So we swung by there and we hung out with Jen and her family too. So that was really cool. So what do you guys got planned for AcadeCon?
Well, it's like the goal for our convention is I want it to be the convention that I would want to go to. So it's very laid back. We are lucky with the podcast that we've made friends that are also podcasters. So we have a lot of guests coming. Like I've been told we punch above our weight when it comes to our guest list. So we have a bunch of game designers coming, a whole bunch of podcasters. I mean, you can't swing a cat and not hit a podcaster at AcadeCon. We also have some local fiction authors who are in the Columbus Dayton area. But mostly it's just gonna be hanging out playing games. I mean, that is by far the majority of the things that happen at our event. A lot of RPGs, not a lot of organized play compared to a lot of conventions. It's a very small percentage of our RPGs. You're more likely to run into someone who's creating their own, or they've hacked something to pieces. A lot of like Wushu and Fate and Dread and all kinds of Power by Apocalypse, because that's just kind of the thing now. But we also have board games, card games. We have a demo area. So we have some local designers who are working on projects. And this year we have a pretty substantial vendor presence. Last year was the first year with vendors. I think we had like 12 vendors. This year we have 42 vendor tables, but some of those are doubled up. It's like 30 something vendors.
Oh, well, and it depends what you're going there for too. Like we almost did a small con event by accident. Like we've been thinking about it, and someone that knew we were thinking about it ended up with a space that they were kind of dropped on them, and there was like only going to be like 6 weeks to put together something.
Oh wow!
So we started looking at it, and we were like, well, if we do, we don't want this just to be a thing where people come and spend their money. We want them to actually get value out of this.
Sure.
Like I've seen it where people put together, an event or call it a con or a convention, and all it really is pay at the door to come in and pay again if you buy stuff. And that was we didn't want to have that kind of experience.
And I completely agree with that. One of the things that we do is there's no charges once you're inside. Everything's free. Even some events that if you go to other cons they charge for, we don't. So once you have a badge, everything else is free. Now vendors obviously sell stuff, so that's different. Yeah. And we do have a raffle, and you get free tickets when you buy a badge, but you can buy more. And that's one of the ways that we offset our costs. So my first year as a public event, I made $17. Once it was all said and done. Last year I made $54. So this is not a money-making scheme in any way for us. We're just trying not to lose money. And you start looking at venues, like if somebody got a free, like basically a cheaper free area, that's insane. Like by far our largest cost is just having a place to do it. It's close to $8,000 just to be able to have the room where we show up in. And then you have all the other things on top of that. We bring in the special guests. We pay for their hotel room. That's like another $3,000 to $4,000 right there. And again, that doesn't include printing badges, marketing things, giving stuff away to try to get people interested. It's gotten bigger than it probably should have been, but it's kind of like a runaway freight train now. We're just kind of like just trying to hold on.
Yeah, that was exactly what happened to us. Someone like, hey, we have this space, and it's either going to be like free or nominal. And I'm like, there's a big difference between free and nominal. Depending on who you talk to.
Yes, there is.
So we looked into it, and it turns out it was the Atlantic City Showboat.
Oh, okay.
And it would have literally been like a nightclub slash plus the pit floor. So it would have been an amazing space. But so we were actually going to go ahead with it and see what we could slap together. And on my way to Origins. And that's where I met you the first time, right? Origins?
Yep. Yeah. Sat at a table, chatted for a bit.
Yeah. And, on my way there, I had gotten the email saying that their council had advised them to suspend any activities indefinitely due to health concerns.
Oh, I remember you telling me that now. Yeah.
It was so weird. And then, like, even the guy that had passed it to me, Jeff Mack, he does World Steampunk Fair and tons of events in this area. And he said, I don't understand. He's like, every promoter I know has been getting copy and paste emails from the Showboat about putting things in here. So it was weird, but like, and it just circling back to what you said, unless if you can get a like space for free or cheap, that's the only reason why we're like, yeah, we'll take a shot at this. I mean, because we were literally like the next weekend leaving for LA to be on GM Tip, so it was going to be a stretch.
Yeah. Again, if you decide to do it, I will gladly share the mistakes I've made and lessons I've learned. But it's much like when people ask me about podcasting, I say it's fun, but it's more work than you think it is. Same thing with a convention. I love doing it, but it is a lot more work than you think it is.
I imagine it's like anything, worth doing. There's always looking from the outside in, it looks, oh well, you just do that. Like even just putting videos up on YouTube, guys just put up a couple 10-minute videos a day, right? That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like there's always so much more going on. So this year, who do you have coming out to AcadeCon?
Apologies for who I forget, because I will forget a lot of people. Kenneth Haidt is coming in, Will Hindmarch, Tracy Barnett, Craig Campbell. All of those are RPG designers. Ken and Will, I think, and actually Tracy, I think, all have won awards for design. I don't know Craig. Trying to think. I know there's some more people that I'm forgetting. From the podcast world, again, this is a crazy long list. Pretty much everybody from DM's Block is coming. Everyone from Fandible is coming. Chris Renshaw from Swords and Boards is coming. Darcy Ross is coming. She's actually one of the special guests as well as a podcaster. James D'Amato from One Shot Podcast. Jim McClure from One Shot Podcast. I think Megan Dornbrock's coming back again this year. Obviously myself and all of our people, we have people in the network. All the guys from Redemption are coming. Taylor from Riverhouse Games is coming. I think Quinn from Swallows of the South is coming again this year. And I'm sure there's more I'm forgetting, but there's a lot of RPG. Oh, Godfall. Yeah. Aram. He just confirmed a couple days ago. So Aram and the guys from Dungeon Rats are coming.
So Darcy Ross, I also know her from Monty Cook Games.
Yes. Yeah. She just very recently got hired on there full-time as their community relations organizer. I met her up in Chicago like 3 years ago at like a gaming seminar thing that I went to. We've been kind of, internet friends ever since. She's started podcasting and she writes on Gnome Stew. I mean, she's like she's like triple threat when it comes to RPG stuff.
And not only that, she's like a marine biologist or something as well. But
yeah, she's super smart.
Yeah, but like even smarter than that. No, I remember seeing her on a game with Dan Dillon, and I forget who else was on the game, and they were playing an aquatic, I believe it was an aquatic Pathfinder game. And like she was talking about what she did for a living. She does like research on the molecular structure of mollusk shells or something, and it's something really like out there and very, very specific. And I was like, wow.
Yep, that's Darcy. She's I think her bio is she's a snail scientist by day and RPG something by night. And again, now the Monty Cook thing, which is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I was just like, wow, that's really specific. So Nerdarchy is trying to decide if we can make it out to AcadeCon this year or not.
It would be awesome if you guys could make it.
It's within driving distance. It's just a slightly further than Origins for us, but not much.
Okay.
So we're definitely considering it. But it's like the week before. It's the week before PAX Unplugged.
Yep.
And that was not bad for us because that's right in our backyard.
Right. Oh yeah. I'm a little worried from our standpoint. Just if PAX Unplugged takes off, that might just destroy any chance we would have at growth. Because the only way we're going to get bigger is we're going to have to become a destination that people travel for. Yeah. And if people are going to travel here, they're probably going to go to PAX instead. I mean, I understand my hierarchy where I'm at compared to those guys.
Just gonna keep going.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things where, because we've talked about moving our event. Like, we don't want it to be in November, to be honest. Like, we would love for it to be some other time. But I challenge anyone out there, try to find a weekend that's good. They don't exist. There
No.
are just everywhere you can look around. There's a new regional convention that's popped up, or we want to avoid Gen Con, we want to avoid Origin, so pretty much everything in the summer is pretty much out. Winter Fantasy isn't far from us, so early in the year we have a big con that's not far from us. There's a bunch, Cleveland, Columbus has their own small one, so it's just trying to find a weekend when we could do it that the center also has space, because they do other things. Obviously, they're not just ours, so we have just been unable to find another weekend that's going to work. So we're kind of stuck where we are. And I'm a little bit worried that with PAX Unplugged coming in close to us regionally, I mean, fairly close, that it probably will stunt any of our chances of growth.
I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm told Philadelphia is a tough town for doing events in.
Yeah, I imagine those guys have, they have an organization around them. I'm sure someone smarter than me, there's a reason why they're there. I don't know what that reason is, but I'm sure there's a reason.
Well, that's true too. But who knows? Things could have just came together. Who knows what goes on behind the scenes?
That is true. Maybe they just got a free venue.
So I guess you're not going to get many games in while you're there, are you?
No. Last year, I think I ran 2 games, and other than that, and other than sleeping and going to the bathroom, I worked the entire time. Like, I did not take breaks. I didn't play anything. If I was not running games, I was running the registration desk. We're trying, big air quotes on trying, to actually set up a schedule this year so that people have defined roles and placing so that we can actually have time to do some things. I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah. How big is the staff for you guys?
Pretty much anybody who's in the show, the faculty, or in the network are kind of by default, staff. So we probably have almost 20 people. But a lot of those people are there as players, so they're running games and they're playing in games. So it's not like we're all there to run the event first. Some of us are there to play first, and then kind of a back and forth thing. But we have a lot of bodies. I don't think we organized very well last year.
You're gonna be like, hey, faculty member, guess what? We got you a shirt. And they're like, hey, why does it say staff?
Yep. It says faculty on the back. And this year they're going to be neon green, so you're going to be able to see us from space.
Oh, nice. Yeah. The whole shirt is going to be neon green?
Yeah, it's got a logo on it. It says faculty on the back, and it's basically like construction worker safety green is the color for the faculty shirts.
Oh, you're making me flash back to a sadder time. So did you get anything? Do you have anything coming up with this con that you weren't able to do at previous ones that you're kind of excited about?
Well, the one thing that we are doing this year a little bit differently is we've rented multiple side rooms. Last year we basically had one giant room and one side room, and the side room was for U2 Can Cthulhu. I don't know if you're familiar with that group. They run some amazing, like almost half LARP, half role-playing game events. They use props and just like over-the-top production value. They're a premier group at Gen Con. Like, the tickets for their events at Gen Con are like $20. Again, at our place, they're free. So we've got them a separate room so that they could do their events separately. They're not going to have to fight with noise and all that kind of good stuff. But it's just one big giant room otherwise. So there's some issues with noise. We tried to set up panel rooms. So we just had like these curtains that were hanging. Didn't work very well. It was very difficult to hear. So this year we've rented additional rooms. And so if you want to run a private game, there's a good chance we can accommodate you. If you're running a panel, you'll have a separate room. I know we're going to do an improv show. So a lot of the people on the faculty have improv training. So we're actually going to do like a Whose Line Is It Anyway D&D style thing. And I think we're going to do some live, like the DM's Block guys with Gnome Stew. I think they're going to do a live event that they're also going to stream. So we're actually also paying for high-speed internet this year. So we're going to be able to do some like streaming events, some private events, some entertainment events that we weren't able to do last year. Or if we tried to do them, they wouldn't have worked very well.
I had some nightmare issues with trying to get internet at Gen Con.
Yes, it's terrible there.
You're bringing up all my worst nightmares all in one live chat.
Yep, that's pretty much my life, is trying to figure out how to make that work.
So, do you guys have it at a convention center or at a hotel?
It's a convention center. Last year was the first year there. Again, it was only the second year as public, but we came back again this year. It's called the Dayton Convention Center. pretty much in the heart of Dayton, which Dayton's a little tiny town. They were the best price. It's actually, I don't live in Dayton. I'm like 45 minutes away, but the convention centers that were near me wanted to charge, I'm like probably almost double what I got that convention center for. So it worked out price wise to go there, and it was close enough. And you know, it worked out in all the other ways, but it is an actual convention center, but it's kind of old. You could probably use a remodeling revamp.
Facelift.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you better hope they don't do that. Then they're going to charge you more.
Well, that is true, actually. You know, if we can grow a little bit more, because again, like last year, again, not getting $54 is what I walked away with. If we could get a little bit bigger, where we'd actually have a little bit of money to put forward to the next year, we could probably still swing it. But we're still going to Kickstarter each year to make sure that we cover our deposits, so that no matter what else happens, we're not going to necessarily get hosed. And we will have the event. Like, we may not be able to pay for the special guests. We may be sleeping on the floor, but as of right now, the convention center is paid for, so we're going to have some games.
Yeah, you guys ran a successful Kickstarter. I was actually checking out one of your podcasts this morning, and that was the one where I guess you guys were announcing like some of the numbers and stuff. And you guys did like $6,000 for Kickstarter.
Well, this was our second year. First year we did 8. This year we did 11, I think.
Maybe it was after. Maybe it wasn't the complete. Yeah, complete.
Yeah, that might have been where we were at. Yeah, but yeah. So we pretty much use Kickstarter to pre-sell GM badges, vendors places, and VIPs, and that'll just about get us there. We had a lot more sponsors this year than I was expecting, which I'm all for. So we had a lot of people that gave us the sponsorship level, which is basically is somewhat like free money. We try to return the value on like giving advertising, but I don't know that, honestly, that we have a value that equals that, but we try. And then we're also doing a couple commercials. So everybody who sponsored us this year gets some commercials on our podcast, which, again, we're not the biggest in the world, but we have a decent sized audience. So there is probably some actual value in that.
You can get there, man.
I'm trying.
What are some of the podcasts that you follow? Are they, the ones in your network, or the ones you mentioned? Like, what got you into podcasting? Who was doing it, and you're like, I want to do that? So
again, long story. I'll try to make it somewhat quick. I had a friend of mine who, again, the short version of a very long story. He found out I played D&D. He wanted to play D&D, so we went to a game store and we played some D&D. And this was when 4th edition was around. And I know there's a lot of hate for 4th edition. I don't think it's as bad as people say. It's not my favorite edition. But he wasn't really liking it. And I was trying to explain, and it wasn't just it was 4th edition, but just at the game store, the type of game that was being ran wasn't necessarily my bread and butter. So I said, okay, let's skip the game store. I'll start a game at my house. You can come over there and I'll run and we can play. And we did that for about 6 months. He seemed to enjoy it, but eventually he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to stop. I can't commit a day every week type of a thing. And then, like, I don't know how long it was, 6 months, maybe a year later, out of the blue, he's like, hey, I want to play D&D again, but I want to DM. I've been thinking about this story. I don't know anything about the rules. I don't know how the game works, but I want to DM. So I said, okay, great. We'll make that happen. You'll run the story. I'll run the rules. Just you do the thing. And if you don't know how something works, I'll tell you. So in preparation for him running a game, he started listening to podcasts. Specifically, Fear the Boot was the one that he really attached to. He was also a musician. He was like in some garage band, so he had a bunch of equipment. He's like, why don't we podcast you teaching me to be a DM? So when we started, that was our shtick, is that I was the grizzled veteran and he was the one who didn't know anything. And after each game, we would do an episode where he would say, so when I did this last night, what did you think? And I was basically kind of critiquing his DMing. And we did that for a few months. And then he eventually left the podcast, got married, got a new job, has a kid, blah, blah, blah. So then the show kind of reformatted itself when I brought Caleb in as the new co-host, because that didn't work anymore. Caleb's an experienced DM. So now we kind of frame it where people on the show, I'm called Professor Fluff. It's not supposed to sound dirty, but it does. Because I'm all about the story. I don't care about the rules. Like I literally don't need to roll a die that means anything to run a game. I just love telling stories and improvising and that kind of thing. And Caleb's the one who loves the math and the crunch and the system. So a lot of our conversations are basically now back and forth on the balance between those two viewpoints.
So for everyone just joining, I'm hanging out with Michael Ross from RPG Academy. I know people are filtering in as we go. And, we're talking about podcasting as well as AcadeCon, which is an event coming up in November, I believe the weekend of the 10th.
Yep.
And that is going to be in Dayton, Ohio. Tickets are on sale, I'm guessing.
Yep, on Eventbrite.
Okay. And Nerdarchy is very, very strongly considering making our first appearance at AcadeCon. It's a busy month for us. We really do want to get out to more events and hang out with you guys.
We again would love to have you. Anyone who is listening now or in the future, the badges are currently on sale via Eventbrite. So if you go to Eventbrite and just type in AcadeCon, you'll find it. If you put in a code Nerdarchy at AcadeCon, something might happen.
So that being said, there is a link in the description to your social media stuff, your website, and as well as the AcadeCon site. So you guys can, find that and check it out. I know some of you guys already have been, so
we would appreciate it.
Nice. And I wanted to mention the promo code, but I wanted to double check first.
Yep. Again, something should happen. So if not, let me know, because maybe I entered it wrong. But there should be a discounted ticket if you put in Nerdarchy at AcadeCon, all spelled out.
Well, and that's kind of the other thing too, guys. If enough of you guys sign up to go, then like Nerdarchy is almost obligated to show up. So that's kind of like our thing. If we can get enough people to a place, we will definitely show up. Just like if there's enough fans to run a game and I'm where they are, I will run a game whether I have one prepared or not.
Right.
Is kind of been the thing. We've done that a couple times with a local convention we have here. It's like a one-day thing, but enough people showed up, then we're just like, hey, want to go back to Ted's place where we shoot and we'll run a game. We've done that a couple times, so it's always fun, and I think that's what they expect from us as well.
Well,
Jen, Jen is in the chat too. She should do a panel.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Or a workshop or something. Not to put her on the spot or anything.
Hi, Jen.
I want to see her make more of that crazy. Have you seen any of the crazy deadly art she used to do?
No, I don't think so. I'm familiar with the tokens, the thing that she's doing now.
Yeah, those are really cool. But she used to make these like insect sculptures out of like bullets and fish hooks and razor blades.
Oh wow!
Just anything that can kind of kill you. From, and she was telling the story about how she had to go to putting them in sealed glass containers, because no matter how many times she would tell people don't touch it, they're very dangerous, they would, as soon as the first thing they want to do is touch it.
Yeah, you tell somebody not to touch something, the first thing they're going to do is touch it.
Yeah, absolutely. So she said she needed to keep her fingers and all of her digits attached, so she gave up that art form.
I can't say that I blame.
But it is really amazing. She had pulled one out and showed it to us when we had her on the show, and then when we visited, she had one that we could see as well. So it's super cool. She is like one of the most talented people I know.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. I think, and again, hopefully this is still accurate, but her and Caleb were working on a card game that they're going to premiere at AcadeCon, like a really quick, fast card comparison with her art.
Oh, that'll be fun. Well, maybe she'll confirm or deny, because she.
Yeah, please do. Hopefully, I didn't let the cat out of the bag. I think that was something that people already knew about.
Yeah. They'll be like, never mind. Michael's just making stuff up.
That's all I do. Again, I'm a story guy. I don't worry about reality and rules. Just make stuff up.
Right. Who needs mechanics when you can just make stuff up?
Exactly.
So Jen says we have some ideas. Not sure if we'll pick it back up before then. Up to Caleb. So he just passed the buck.
Yeah. But we can't rely on him, so that probably means no.
Yeah. Well, she said that he did announce it before, so
okay.
So
I'll blame him for everything.
Exactly. There you go. We officially have a scapegoat. So we are right around the halfway mark. So it is at this point that we will go back to the chat for roll call. And guys, want to chime in from where you're at. And also too, like you kind of already answered one of the questions I was going to ask is, was Dayton was local to you, like why you picked that location, but you kind of went through that. Yeah, I was checking it out. Like I said, I think that's like a 9-hour drive for us. So it's obtainable. It's closer than Gen Con. That is for sure.
So where are you guys coming from?
We're out in New Jersey. South.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, we have Matthew lives in Manhattan, which I know is somewhere close to there. And he drives in every year. And then his friend Corey, they do the Zeros Talking Heroes podcast together, and they come in together.
Yeah, so for him, it's probably more like an 11-hour drive.
I don't know. I think they changed out like last year, like every 3 hours, someone else drove.
Yeah. Well, when we did when we did Gen Con, it was me and my son up until we got to Ohio, and then we picked up Doug, and then from there we kind of shot out there. So my son is 17, so he can't drive yet. He's got his permit, but it doesn't extend past New Jersey.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And I don't think he really wanted that as his training anyway.
Yeah, that could be kind of scary the first time, on a major highway.
It's like, and with me sleeping. Boy, just don't kill us. It's all good. So we got Pokemon for what in Canada? We got Todd in Dallas. We got Regilio in Utah. We got Jacksonville, Florida with John. Lincoln's in Sweden. We got Dublin, Ireland with Writer's Block. Minnesota with Evil Silly Putty. Jen is in Germantown, Maryland. We got Sugarland, Texas with Kelsey. Comrade 2261 is in the City of Witches, Salem, Massachusetts. Petter Swinsrud.
Oh, hey, Petter.
Is in Minnesota. We got it jumped. I lost it. We've got Missouri, Ranger Roy. And I lost you guys again. There we go. But I'm back. We got Scott in Arkansas. We got Australia with Tesmic. Comic University is in Kenosha. Zaref Gaming is in New Mexico. Forgettable Table is in Montana. British Columbia with Kyle. Jose is in Tampa, Florida. Wales, UK. TrueMate. We got Mark in Trenton, New Jersey. Hey, you're just up the turnpike, buddy. We got Red with Sebring, Florida. Frigginator is in Washington. We got Western Australia in the house with the one lazy guy. We got California, Los Angeles with Hooten. AJ is in Lopez Island, Washington. Greyhawk Dungeon in Canada.
Oh, nice.
Latinus Cube. Baltimore, Maryland with GM Sub-Zero PSP. We got Brazil in the house with the Borges 23. Raven is in the Outback OZ. Scott, bad experience on the turnpike. Yeah, well, if you live in Jersey long enough, you get that as well. So
nice.
Corbin, Kentucky in the house with Terry Street. So we got people weighing in from all over the place.
If people can't tell from the voice, I'm from Kentucky originally. So shout out to my homies in Kentucky.
Nice. Well, you got at least one of them there. Actually, we have a lot of fans that are in Ohio. I don't know why. It just seems like of all the different chats I've done,
there's nothing else to do here. So you have to go on the internet to look for entertainment.
Maybe. Not only that, Megan does one of our staff writers does some writing for us, and she's in Ohio. Our editor Doug is in Ohio. So, and then his predecessor was actually from Ohio before that. So,
oh, okay. A good talent pool here.
Maybe. Doug tells me it's because everyone's trying to get out.
Yeah, there's that too.
So, Chris Lynn in Houston. So welcome everyone, and thanks for hanging out with us. So how soon after AcadeCon's over do you start planning the next one?
Before it's over. Like we're constantly evaluating, like when things go well, or if we have a mistake or a problem that we're having to scramble to fix, there's that mental note of, okay, we need to do that differently. But the real answer is a couple weeks after. We take a couple weeks off and decompress. We don't have any episodes that come out on the show unless they're already done. Like I'm not going to record or edit for a couple weeks because I need that break. But we had a meeting last year. We got everybody who could on a big hangout, and we just went through and we made a list of everything we wanted to do differently, everything that we wanted to lock in the same. We started looking at, again, dates, because we were thinking about moving it, but that didn't work out. So then we started thinking about when we could do the Kickstarter, and how much we needed to get, because we knew we were asking for money really early. That was our big problem, is that we're asking for money in March, April, May for an event that's not till November. So I'm pretty happy and lucky. I feel lucky that we got to where we needed to get to with that. So it's pretty much a constant thing now. Like there's always a AcadeCon.
You need your Kickstarter to end just before they announce PAX Unplugged.
Well, I do actually. I think it was after our Kickstarter that PAX was announced. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, it was sort of like, oh, great.
Yeah. Well, people go to different events and different conventions for different reasons.
Absolutely.
So, and with PAX Unplugged, no, you don't really know what you're going to get as well. So, if you've been going to AcadeCon for the last couple of years, you kind of have an expectation already.
I like to think so. I mean, the people who go come back. Jen can speak to that. It's a cozy little atmosphere. It is a small con, so it is a different feeling than a larger con. And for people who enjoy that, then I think we offer that. And you're going to make friends at AcadeCon that will be your friends forever, I think.
Well, that's what I've heard from a number of people, is like that there's just a group of people that don't like bigger conventions for that reason, because you're gonna get lost in the shuffle. There's less of a connection there, and it's just like just a sea of humanity. Yep. Now, I'm actually kind of a noob to conventions, and at this point I've only really experienced a handful, two of which being Origins and Gen Con. So I've been to, like, I guess as a kid, I've been to at least one Comic Con, and I think like the first year Nerdarchy, me and my brother went and checked out the Comic Con in Philly, which it's really just not my thing, to be honest with you. The further I get away from RPGs, the less interested I am.
No, I completely understand. Gen Con was my first convention ever. I went again. I think this was my 5th Gen Con. And that was the first convention of any type that I can ever remember having gone to, and it was a life-changing event for me. I mean, I don't know if I'm older than you, but I'm older than a lot of people that I talked to on the show. So I grew up, Satanic Panic. There's a lot of shame. Up until like 10 years ago, I would lie to people. I wouldn't tell them I played D&D. I would tell them I was playing poker or Risk or video games, because that's more acceptable.
I would tell them I was going out to snort blow off a hooker's ass.
Because that's more acceptable than hanging out in the basement, killing dragons with wizards. So it was, I had this gamer shame, and I was just embarrassed about what it was. And when I went to Gen Con, it was like, these are my people. I'm around 50, 60,000 people who all love this just as much as I do. There's no shame. We're all in it together. And it was like an eye-opening experience. And that's actually where AcadeCon came from. It was driving home from that first Gen Con. I was talking to my friends who went with me. I'm like, I can't wait a year to do this again. Like, that's just not acceptable to me. Now, a smart person would have went home and Googled conventions and found out that there's a million of them, and I could have just went to a different one. No, I decided to do my own, and that's where AcadeCon was born. That I was still on that high driving home from Gen Con, like, I want to do this again now. How quickly can I make that happen?
You're like, I'll just do my own. Yeah. So, that has its own rewards, because I'm sure when you do different things, you want to do it your way, right? Like one of the things that kind of bugged me about Origins and Gen Con was, like, if you want to play games, you need tokens, right? So you have to pay to be in the games.
Yep.
After paying to be at this convention, which I mean, it's not super expensive, but still, it's like, they get you like every which way.
Right. And from a business standpoint, it's probably smarter. I mean, I'm sure they make a lot of money from that. As I mentioned earlier, we don't do that at our convention. Once you're in, you're in. But what I've heard from people is that the reason that you charge for a game is because it's a commitment, and you're less likely to bail and not show up on a game that you paid $2 for. I disagree with that, because I've paid for games at Gen Con that I'm like, oh, I'm not getting up at 6 o'clock to go play that game, so I'm going to pass up. So I don't know that $2 is enough to make me commit, but it's still, every game you play is $10, $12 to the convention. That adds up.
I think that's just what they tell themselves so they can sleep at night.
maybe on their giant piles of money. So yeah,
Yeah, in their Scrooge McDuck style money vault.
yes. Whew. Someday. Actually, now I don't want to be as big as Gen Con. I would die before I would ever get there. I'm going gray as it is, just trying to organize this 300 to 500 people con. I can't imagine 60,000 people.
Well, it's like anything, you grow into it. But like that's kind of like the other thing too. Is like if you want to be competitive, you're in business generally, you always have to be moving forward and growing.
Yeah.
If
not growing, you're stagnating, basically.
Yeah. And that's just it. Plus, if you want to have cooler guests and stuff like that, that's that's the other part. Like I would think, like as someone putting together a con, it's like you not only do you want to have a cool place for people to hang out, then you start thinking about maybe not so much like the cool people other people want to be there, but like you're like the selfish. Oh, I want so and so here because I want to hang out with them.
That is exactly what happened. We invited the people that I wanted to hang out with because I was like, I want to play a game with Rich Baker. I want to play a game with Keith Baker. No, they're not related. Rob Schwab. So all three of those gentlemen came last year. Unfortunately, none of those three were able to come this year for other commitments. But that was the thing, is like I invited the people that I really wanted to hang out with. And again, we're lucky through the podcast. We know some designers and we know other podcasters who know designers. So there's a bit of a word of mouth, like, hey, have you heard of this small convention? It's, again, I'll speak for myself. It's really cool. It's a cool environment. So we've had people that have kind of like said, hey, can I come? Will you bring me in? Of course, more the merrier. But it started with me just being selfish.
You got to get a Robert Nerdarchy in there.
I've talked to him. He and I have played a game together. We played a game on the GM Showcase, and I've ran into him a bunch of conventions. So I don't know if he picked me out of a lineup, but like when I see him, we always have that moment where we recognize each other. And I hit him up on Facebook the other day asking about coming in, and the typical thing when you're on social media, you're like, sure, I'll think about it, but I have no idea if it'll ever actually happen.
Yeah. Robert's a super cool guy. I've had him on the show a couple times, and same thing. I've run into him at the different conventions. Good dude.
Yeah, very good dude.
And I imagine too, it's hard to get Adventure League in there. Depending on the size of the convention as well.
Yeah, we're working on that, but it's, again, compared to like other conventions, it's a much smaller percentage of our games. But we're trying to offer them because I know it's a lot of people. That's what they come to conventions for. And we want to provide that for people, but it's been more difficult than I would have expected.
Are you able to get like is there a local Adventures League that you can contact and have those guys come out?
That's what we're trying to do. Again, there's a bunch of other little conventions around us, and a lot of people are already committed or they play at a local game store. And there's not a lot of benefit to come to our event versus where they normally go until we get enough people that it becomes a bigger event.
Have you considered duct tape and a white panel van, maybe some candy?
Well, I'm trying the whole sugar, vinegar situation, I guess. So one of the guys that I've kind of got to become friends with, he's local. He's a Pathfinder coordinator. So he's coordinating Pathfinder. So we've actually had a lot more luck with Pathfinder. The D&D Adventures League is what we're struggling with. And we just, we worked out something with a game store that's local called Epic Loot. They're going to be one of our sponsors and vendors, and they hold AL games. So they're going to try to move those into our convention. So the same GMs that would normally run, but move them into there. And if we can get up to 6 tables, I've been told we can do an epic. I don't play Adventures League. That sounds like an epic thing, I guess. So I'm hoping we can make that happen.
Sounds really good.
Yeah, it sounds epic.
Yeah, no, that'd be really cool. So I wonder if is there any like Starfinder Society local, because that'd be a cool thing.
Well, the guy who's doing it, Tim, he's got Pathfinder adventure card games, Pathfinder games, and Starfinder. So he's organizing, I think, 2 of each of those this year so far.
Oh, sweet. Starfinder, we've been kind of like slowly grinding through the book. And not so much that there's anything wrong with the book. It's just, it's a big book, a lot of content, and
sure,
we do a lot of videos. So we release like 2 videos a week, and we're slowly learning the rules ourselves, and definitely interested in playing some. Pathfinder isn't really our favorite rule set, But they've done some streamlining in Starfinder, and I'm just in love with the art, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
It's like the idea of playing a science fantasy as well has a lot of appeal. So I definitely have an itch to play some of that. They've done a really good job of fleshing out the classes and the races and giving it a really solid identity and feel.
Well, come to AcadeCon. We've got at least 2 games of it.
Nice. Yeah, like I said, and you guys, let us know if you're going. I'm sure if any of you guys use that promo code, Michael will let us know. And like I said, if we get enough people going, we will definitely show up, make an appearance, maybe, and set something up with you guys. I found it really hard to do that at like Origins and Gen Con just because they're so big, and Nerdarchy so disorganized. But I'm sure in a smaller sea of people, it would be easier to figure out.
Yeah. So again, for anybody who might have joined later, there's a promo code Nerdarchy at AcadeCon, all one thing spelled out. If you use that on Eventbrite, you'll get a discount on your badge. Yeah, and I also can track how many people buy it.
All that information is in the description as well. Make it easy for you guys so you don't have to hunt around for it. So how often do you guys put out content on the podcast?
Way too often, I've been told. We average 2 episodes a week, and we have had stretches of time where we've done, like there was a stretch of time a couple years ago where we released almost 15 episodes in a 3-week period, which is a lot for our show. But we do so much different stuff, and sometimes they kind of just overlap in a weird way. I think we have 6 shows at this point that we do. We're all on the same feed. But our normal show, we talk about role-playing games and try to help people play them better, are called faculty meetings. And we try to do at least one of those every couple weeks. We don't give advice because I don't think there is a right way to do anything. It's just whatever works for you. So normally we just pick a topic and we talk about it for about an hour. And hopefully somewhere in there's a nugget of wisdom that someone can go, hey, I like that. I'm going to steal that. We do show and tells, which are interview shows where we interview people. At this point, it's almost always Kickstarter related just because that's the nature of the business. So we do a lot of Kickstarters. We have actual plays called the campaigns, which are our long form, role-playing games, same DM, same players. And then we do something called the trials, which is one of my favorite things we do. It's a one-shot on a game we've never played before. And often these are also Kickstarters. But the thing is, we almost always get the creator of the game to run it for us. So we get to give a very good example of how that game would play, from the person who designed it. And so those are usually 3 to 5 episodes. And when those come out, we release them all at one time, like Netflix. So you'll get an episode on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, and then Friday. So they're all out. We also do movie reviews. I think we've done 4 in the last 6 years. So it's all like RPG related. And then our new thing is we do Detention. Every Wednesday at 9 o'clock, we do a live Twitch talk show, kind of like what we're doing now. We do it on Twitch, 9 o'clock on Wednesday nights. So all of those types of episodes come out on a semi-regular basis. And yeah, so we average 2 a week, but it's probably more than that now.
Yeah, we know a little bit about putting out a lot of content. We do 6 to 7 live chats a week, and then we release 2 videos Monday through Friday. And we used to pretty regularly release our gameplays on Saturday and Sunday mornings. The summer totally killed me for that.
Sure.
And guys, by the way, I'm going to tell you this here now first. I actually, I have the next game for Ted's game. The first video is already rendered and uploaded, and the second one we're almost there. So this Saturday and Sunday, we'll actually start getting back on track with that.
Kind of my dirty little secrets. I'm trying to move more of our content to live, so that I don't have to edit it. I can just say it is what it is. You kind of accept that it might be as little raw because I'm pretty obsessive about audio quality. Like I try really hard to make sure our shows sound good, and it takes up a lot of time, especially when you're trying to organize an event and work a job. So if I can just make it live, I'd put a little bumper on the front that says, "Hey, this was a live event. It's not going to sound as good as our other stuff."
Yeah.
The more I can do that, the better my life is.
Oh yeah, and Jen pointed out Tuesday nights we have a game as well, which is live, and live does make a lot of things so much easier. Wednesday nights we have our collab game with Save Our Dice, which is WebDM, Dawnforge Cast taking 20, and we've been running a game over there. And also, we're looking at bringing back season 2 of Marvel Phase Rip. So we had run on Mondays during the day. We had run it, but we're going to move it to nighttime, and we're going to be doing a game of that as well. So that was a lot of fun. That one is purely for fun. I don't think many people are looking for Marvel Phase Rip.
No, I neglected to mention this one type of show because we don't do it much anymore. But we have things we call field trips because we try to theme everything around the academy. So you got field trips and show and tell. Not everything fits, but that's okay. But a field trip is when we play a game and we don't care about the rules. Like a trial, we try to follow the rules as closely as possible because we want people to know how the game works. And so we'll kind of slow down and explain, like, this is why we're doing this now. A field trip is just whatever. It's what you would think of like a normal one shot. We did Face Rip Marvel. That was my second RPG. I started with D&D. Second RPG I ever played was the Marvel Face Rip. And so we did a field trip of it. It's like maybe even 2 episodes. And it was the first time we ever played around with sound effects. And I have about 20 hours in on this 1 hour episode because I had to go in and create all the sound effects. Like if there's one part, there's a robot moving. So I had to like mix all these different sounds off the internet and make them into a robot. It's a lot of fun episode to listen to. I think it's really funny, but I didn't layer the sound effects at all. So like it always stops. So like we're talking, stop, sound effect of a robot moving, talking again. Like I didn't layer it underneath the voices. So it's a little, amateurish, but it's still a lot of fun to listen to.
No, absolutely. It sounds like good stuff. It's such a fun game, and I feel like even though like rules have moved so beyond that game, even for its time, is kind of rules light. When it's not rules light, but in comparison to everything else that was coming out in the 80s,
it is in the way that you basically everything is the same roll. You just roll percentile, and then you compare numbers. How you decide what you roll and how you determine your powers and their levels can be complicated. But once you've got your character made, it's a pretty simple system to run.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And it was just a blast. We ran a session where we played basically Nerdarchy gets hijacked from a live chat into the Marvel universe. So we played ourselves and started getting powers. So that was pretty cool. So for you guys asking, Ted's game will be released over the weekend, and his Griffin Gaff game, and yes, the Scarlet Sisterhood is also actually in Griffin Gaff as well. We're really lazy like that. We just use the same town over and over again.
If it works, why mess with it, right?
Which means once you have like 3 or 4 different adventuring parties going out of the same town, what that really means is just horrible things keep happening over and over again in that town.
Yep.
So I do have some my game is also, we have some sessions recorded of that, and unfortunately you can probably commiserate with this. We did one of our live plays that we did. I lost half a session.
Yep.
I don't know if I deleted it. I don't know if it never got recorded, but it's just gone, and it sucks because it was when it was the last session for one of my players.
Oh,
it was going to be at the table, so I was kind of like, well, what kind of ending do you want? And so I'm like, it's completely demoralized.
I've lost so much audio, and it's always the episodes like, this was a great episode, I want you to hear it, and the audio's gone.
So what for you guys watching, you might have seen that we started actually doing a little bit of a network ourselves, where we just have on different creators to showcase them and highlight them, and Professor Bill from Comic Book University. If you're into comic books at all, it's a great channel to check out. It's been starting with it. Jen's going to be starting. We're going to showcase like one of her pieces a week. So we're looking for people that are doing cool stuff in video to kind of like get the word out.
Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So what can people expect from AcadeCon coming up this not AcadeCon, I'm sorry, RPG Academy this coming week? What's in the can?
So this week, well, actually, it's funny. The only thing we have right now for next week is Detention. We had an episode as an actual play, but now we're not going to release it. It's a long story, too long for what we have time left now. But so next week out of Detention is the one with Darcy Ross. So we were talking about her earlier. She came on Detention. So she'll be on there. And I'm working with Jim McClure. If anyone might be familiar with his work from One Shot Podcast Network, he designed a couple of games, Satanic Panic and Reflections. He and I are doing what I'm calling a secret project that we're going to be releasing soon, probably in the hiatus after AcadeCon. We're going to have all the episodes done before we release anything because I've learned my lesson. So once those are all done, they're probably going to come out late November, and those are going to be, I'm really looking forward to people hearing them and seeing what they think about them because I'm really proud of them.
Cool. Excellent. So how many actual plays are you guys involved in?
We have our main campaign currently is called Wrought Iron, and that's what we are doing at the moment. We've had a few other campaigns that have started and stopped. So if you go way back in our catalog, you'll see campaigns Made Men, campaigns Dead Center, campaigns this, that, and the other. And then we run a Patreon-only game called Dark Discovery, which I run for my in real life group. So we actually are here at my house. We play that game on Tuesdays, and then we play everything else is over the internet. All of us are spread across the country, and we put those together. And then we do a trial. We usually do at least one trial a month, which again are those one shots. We recently did Masks, the Powered by the Apocalypse superhero game, was amazing. We got Brendan Conway, again, he's the designer of that game, to run it. And then we did one for Firefly with PK Sullivan. He was one of the designers on that game. So both of those are currently being edited. So we're kind of moving a little bit more towards just doing the one shots because frankly, they're easier.
No, I totally get that. Although I really enjoy the ongoing. Matter of fact, I came out of GM retirement for the Scarlet Sisterhood game that Jen's playing in. We'd been playing our 5th edition campaigns since 5th edition came out, but we run them once a month. So it makes it a lot easier, and we rotate. So me and Ted will each take a game, so it's still gaming twice a month with 5e, and then we usually have like a third GM, and they run a different game. So it's been really good for combating GM burnout,
right,
and keeping the GMs interested in the stories that we're telling. It just the progression is just a lot slower.
Now, we've had just ridiculous schedule problems. One of our players basically got a new job. They couldn't play on the days we played. Another one has moved across the country now, so his schedule is a little bit different. We have another that has a child that's due any day now, so that's messed with his scheduling. Locally, my group, I've had people change jobs and kids, so we've just had the most awful luck trying to keep a game together, and it's really kind of slowed down. Our campaigns are very sporadic, so even though we have people that really like them, they get maybe one episode a month, and that's just not what people are looking for on campaigns. So we're trying to find a way to offset that, and one shot seemed to be the easier way to go.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. We had a lot of the similar things. I want to say the thing that helped us the most was probably starting Nerdarchy. So it just expanded our network by so much.
Yeah,
and we also live sandwiched in between Philadelphia and New York, so population's really dense here, and there's a lot of people to draw from.
Nice.
Which helps tremendously. So we're coming up on the hour. You wanna leave off with anything?
Just anybody who might be watching or listening to this who's not yet checked out our show, I really hope you will. The RPG Academy. If you're looking for game theory discussion, check out Faculty Meetings. If you want to hear us just be silly and talk about stuff very similar to what we did today, but maybe a little bit sillier, we do some improv games, then Detention would be a good thing to check out. And find me on Twitter at the RPG Academy.
Awesome. And guys, if 20 of you guys commit to going to AcadeCon,
get it right.
Yeah, happens. Nerdarchy will show up, and we will do something together. I don't know what. Usually we just play D&D and throw a pizza party. It's kind of it's been our MO so far. But yeah, if you happen to be in the area or willing to travel to Dayton, use that promo code. If at least 20 of you guys commit to going, Nerdarchy, at least 2 of us will show up. Me and Nate will definitely do it. I don't know if we can get Ted or not. His muggle job can be a little bit harder to break free from than what me and Nate have going on, but we definitely would love to come hang out with you guys and hang out with you guys from RPG Academy and Jen and all the other awesome people that are going to be there. So with that, guys, until next time, stay nerdy.
Bye.